Let's see here.
Hello, hello.
Hey,
Hello.
hey. So, guess we imagine we're sitting around the fire
Welcome.
to Bear Burrito around the fire. Scary stories?
Oh, are we doing scary stories today?
No, we don't have to do
Okay.
scary stories.
I thought we were doing October.
Yeah, we'll do that in October.
Okay.
So there's the preview.
Yeah.
October, Halloween time. Gonna do scary stories around the campfire.
That's right.
Today, though, we might talk about just some random stuff.
Yeah.
But we'll kind of keep it on water issues.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about kayaking, canoeing, all fun things on the water that you can do.
Yeah. Lakes, rivers, creeks, and the beach.
Maybe talk about some scary stories that have happened on the water.
Sure.
Yeah. Some crazy moments.
Sure. We'll talk about it all. Okay, so canoeing and kayaking are some passions of mine. Like, I always tell people that my favorite outdoor activity is, besides just general exploring, because general exploring is the best. So
Yeah.
backpacking, exploring. Besides that is definitely canoeing. Going on canoe trips. I like overnight canoe trips where you're just going down the river and camping along the way. It's super fun. So canoeing is a pretty big passion of mine. What about you, Nick? Do you like water sports?
I like it a lot. Mainly like water polo. No, I really like kayaking and canoeing. We just went whitewater rafting in Georgia.
Yeah.
And we probably flipped our raft like 5 times.
Oh, shoot.
And it was amazing. Essentially, our raft, like, we were the last group that went through for this raft guide. And it was about like a 2-hour like thing. And we were like, sorry, we're flipping so much. And he's like, no, it's what's fun. He was like, that's the greatest part. He's like, this has been the most exciting like tour, or,
Yeah.
like thing that I've done all day.
Yeah.
And he's like, you guys want to go again? So he would like swing us back around.
Yeah.
And we'd get back up onto this rock. He'd like carry the raft up.
Yeah.
And we'd get back onto the water. I mean, yeah, we all fell off like multiple times. We actually had this older couple who was on the back of the raft, and we flipped once. Her husband fell off hardcore and went just like floating down the river.
Yep.
We eventually caught up to him. His wife was like freaking out. She's just like, get him, oh my God. And we're just like, we're getting him. He's like 3, 4, and we're like rowing and everything. Finally catch up to him. You know, the guide pulls him up, and he's like,
oh, shit.
You know, like he had sucked in some water. I mean, he was like, I could see his head the entire time.
Right.
But of course, like some water got in there, and I
Right.
guess he's old, and so he's just like breathing in all this water, and finally gets himself together, and he seems fine.
Right.
You know, he's starting to crack some jokes about it, but I don't think his wife recovered from it. And then we flip again. We got to some rougher stuff, and then apparently her knee is hurting now.
Oh.
And we're like gonna go like surfing into the water.
Yeah.
And she's like, can we not do it?
Oh, no.
And so we eventually like circle around and like get off the boat to like go back through it all again. And we're at this place where you can either like get back on it and finish the whole tour, like finish the ride, or you can actually walk back to their little shop that they have and whatnot, and go to your car, drop all your stuff off. So that's what they did. They decided just to walk back. And that was after like one time or a second time of flipping. So we're like, let's get back in there. and Katie's brother was like, how many times can we go through this? And he let us go through like a lot of times. Yeah, we flipped so many times. It was pretty cool.
I think that a lot of people don't fully understand or appreciate the power of water.
Yeah.
Because, you know, as people's experiences with water is on flat water or water slides or the beach with small waves.
Yeah.
And you don't really understand like how terrifying whitewater is until you're in it.
Right.
And so it's very surprising for some people, especially when you get dumped out of a whitewater raft and then you're swept down the river a few hundred feet.
Right.
And you're like, wow, I had no control.
Oh yeah.
Because that's how it is. It's like, you know, that's why you have a PFD on, because
right.
you have no control. And you know, that's why you gotta wear a helmet, because the river's just gonna take you where it wants, and there's very little that you can do about it. And you know, especially because if you do choose to do the limited stuff that you can do about it, you're going to immediately exhaust yourself.
Right.
So you got to be strategic, you know. So, like, you know, if you're pulled in if you're pulled into something you don't want to be pulled into, you know, and the hydrology is pulling you in and down and out, a lot of times, you know, guys will say you just got to let it take you.
Right.
You know,
yeah,
because if you try to fight it, then you're tiring yourself out from when there is an opening.
Right.
So you let it take you until you see an opening, and then you swim like hell,
Yeah.
you know, and you try and get out. But yeah, most people don't understand that the water is way stronger than they think. You know?
Well, what was so funny was, so me and my brother-in-law Greg were at the front, and my wife is behind me, his girlfriend's behind him, and then Greg and then my mother-in-law is like behind them.
Yeah.
And she's like champ, she's loving it. Like
Good.
she's having so much fun. And but there would be moments where like we'd go up on the water,
Yeah.
and he would like be having us paddle like going into it,
Yeah.
and I'd stick my paddle down and there'd be no water because I'm like so high up in the air.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It was really, really cool.
That's awesome. Yeah.
But yeah, there'd be moments where we'd flip, and all of us, like all 5 of us, were like out, like scattered.
Oh, yeah.
And then the only guy on the raft was the guide, you know, because he just knew how to like jump back in real quick, and then he'd like collect all of us. You know, it was pretty.
Swim around and collect you guys. That's funny.
Yeah, but I think we did pretty good. We got lucky. His name was Tater. Mm-hmm. And that was pretty fun. He was a new guy, too. And his name was Tater.
Tater.
And so we were like, surely they said Taylor.
Yeah.
So we're like, Taylor, like trying to find him, like, Taylor. And they're like, oh, you mean Tater? And we're like, I guess so.
I guess you do.
And he looked like a guy named Tater, too. But he was pretty fun. So, yeah, we really enjoyed that. But Katie and I really like kayaking. I think Katie really likes it for the control factor.
Oh, yeah.
That she can just decide where and how she goes.
Oh, yeah.
She doesn't have to be like the lead waiting on me
to
do things properly. She doesn't have to wait on me being the lead doing things properly. You know, she can just do it herself.
It's very independent. It's a very independent one, yeah. We did, for the block semester at Asbury, we did whitewater raft guide training on the Kayaking River in Pennsylvania, which is a really awesome river for whitewater, and it's a really great learning river to train on, because there's a lot of distance between the rapids, you know, and it's really great. And so we, you know, did all of our whitewater training there, and did all the tricks and everything, got thrown out of the boat a bunch of times, and learned about rescue and all that stuff. And it was a really great time. Highly recommend heading up to Pennsylvania if you guys are near there and checking that out. The Kayaking River, it's really cool.
Yeah. I'd really like to get into whitewater, like kayaking.
Oh, yeah?
Eventually.
Yeah.
I think that'd be really fun.
Yeah. Yeah, we're...
Seems a little crazy, though.
Yeah, I know a guy here in Wilmore that is trying to get into that, and recently bought a whitewater kayak. And we were out in the river a couple months ago together, and he was trying to practice doing the rolls. You know, so like when he was upside down in his kayak and trying to roll himself back over, it takes a ton of core strength. It takes a lot. And if you struggle too much, you'll accidentally pop your skirt, and then your boat will fill with water. And then it's impossible, and you have to jump out. Right. Yeah. So, I don't know, there's science to it. I haven't tried it. I'm not a whitewater kayaker, but it seems fun.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. We had this dude who he was talking about how he was really into it, and we were asking like, so do you ever like take your kids whitewater rafting? And he was like, oh yeah. He's like, I'm about to start taking my son like whitewater kayaking. And they were like, oh, like how old your son? He's like, oh, he's like 9 or whatever. And we're like, what? And he's like, oh, it's like low rapids and everything. He's like, no. He's like, it's pretty big. He's like, but he's pretty used to being out on the water and all that stuff. He's like, he'll be all right. And we're like, oh man.
Gotta start him young.
Yeah, that's the type of thing where I hope that my kids will like really be into like getting outdoors and doing that stuff at a young age.
Yeah.
That way when they're like our age and older, they can already have that type of stuff like under them.
Yeah.
They can have those fears like taken away.
Yeah, that's true.
Or it'll be the opposite and we'll like terrify them.
Traumatize.
Yeah, and traumatize them.
It's a possibility. Yeah, it's a possibility. We had some people get, you know, really afraid when we were doing our training. We were because our mentor made us swim one of the rapids. So we had to just go down just to feel the power of the water and all that stuff, you know. And so we were swimming. It was like a class 3. And you know, we went down it a couple of times, and then we were supposed to swim across it. And so we had to, you have to dive in at an angle and swim at an angle to try and make it across. And so we were trying to make it to this boulder in an eddy. So we made it to this boulder in the eddy, and we were all hooking onto there and just holding on to the boulder. There's like 6 of us holding on to the boulder. And all of a sudden, somebody starts screaming. We all looked to our left, and there's this water snake, like like a water moccasin or something. I don't know what it was. It was black, big, swimming right towards us. And we're like, oh, what is that? And somebody's swimming through the rapid as the snake is swimming towards us, and they're like going on a collision course. We're like, wait, watch out for this snake! And you can't hear; it's pounding water all over the place, and the snake slithers up on the boulder, and everybody lets go, and people get swept downstream. It's like, you want to get swept downstream, or do you want to take your chances with the snake? It's like,
right.
Yeah, it was interesting.
Jeez,
it was interesting.
I think the craziest moment that I've had so far was we were like leading junior hires. I can't remember if I told you this story or not, but we were leading junior hires, and there's a ton of them. But we get to this point where to the left is like a big root wad, and so the water's just like straining like right through it.
Yeah.
And we're trying to tell everyone to get close to the bank, stay close to the land, because like there's a nice like path going right through it where it's nice and calm, but then right by that like strainer, the water is just like sucking you right into it. And so they're rowing their boat, and they're doing this, and it was one of these kids. You're like, of course that kid did it, but they're rowing, and there's like 3 of them in the boat, and Cody, the youth pastor, he's just like, get to the bank, go to the bank, and the kid's like, what? As he's like going by, like, what are you saying?
Oh, jeez.
And then all of a sudden they just like pound like right into it, and you're going so much faster than you realize too. When you do that. And so they hit it, the kayak like starts to turn over, but they're all like on the outside of it, thankfully, like they're holding on to it and everything. And luckily like they're on the side where if they were to let go, they would like bounce off the tree and just like go downstream. And it gets shallower as you go downstream at this point. And so we're telling them like, let go of the boat. Let go of the boat. And they're like, I'm not letting go of the boat.
They don't trust you.
They're like, we're not letting go. And we're like, let go.
Stay there for a while.
Because we were afraid that the boat would start to turn and like pin them or something.
Yeah.
Like that's what we were starting to get afraid of. And thankfully, like one kid finally let go of it and everything. But we were able to, like, the leaders, like the guides, were able to get over there eventually and help them. And they were even... like these guys looked like tough doing this, but they were even able to get the boat like flipped back over and everything, and like get it all set up and let the boat kind of go downstream and everything. It was a pretty crazy moment, but just watching these kids just like scream bloody murder and like crying and everything, you're just like, oh my gosh, I hope that you can look back on this and laugh and not be traumatized.
We had a lady get pinned by a canoe against a giant boulder once when we were running a trip on Big South Fork. We were doing like a group of high school sophomores and their chaperones. It was like a youth group or something. And it had rained. It had been like some pretty bad storms the week before, and so the river was really high and it was moving pretty fast. And there was this... also, these people were just terrible at canoeing. And like I knew that the trip was not going to go well, because that was a last-minute addition to this trip. They needed an extra guide, and one of my friends called me. I was like, "Do you want to help us out?" I was like, "Sure." And so, I didn't know anything about this trip going into it. I just knew we were going down Big South Fork, and so I did. And we get down there, and the very first rapid, calling it a rapid is actually generous. It was like just some rocks in the water.
Yeah, we're
hold on.
Okay.
Sorry about that. We had to cut really quick because Nick almost died.
I'm about to pull the computer off the table trying to answer a phone call from my wife.
Anyway, there was like 13 boats in the water. There was like 26 participants. And there was like, maybe 12 small rocks in the water. And somehow every single boat flipped. Like not even exaggeration. Like literally all 13 boats flipped. And we had to spend it took us probably an hour, if not more, maybe an hour and a half to flip everybody's boat back over and get it all drained.
Oh my gosh.
And continue. And we had gone like, I don't know, a football field like 100 yards down the river.
Yeah.
And in an hour and a half because of that. And I was like, oh my god, this trip is gonna suck. And so it did. And they had a good time though, apparently. And so we were, continuing down, we got to a bigger rapid, and the whole time me and the other guys were like, "Oh my god!" When we get to this rapid up here, like people are gonna die. We're like, "These guys cannot. These guys cannot canoe." We're like, "Oh man."
You even canoe?
Yeah, and so we put them into an eddy beforehand. I was like, "All right, so rapid's coming up. There's a big boulder on the right. You just need to stay left." Hear the stroke. We already taught them the strokes too. Right. We had taught them before they even got in a canoe. We were like, "This is a part of the canoe. Hear the strokes." And so I was like, "Here are the strokes you're gonna do." Reiterate it. So don't stop paddling. Whatever you do, if you stop paddling, that's gonna make it a lot more wobbly. So please just keep paddling, knowing for sure that they're not gonna paddle.
Right.
And I was like, "All right, well, let's just say a prayer and go." So I'm in the very back, and I'm gonna bring up the rear, and so the two other guys go down first, and one of them gets actually on top of the boulder, just in case. Thank God that he was there too, and the other one gets on the other side of the rapid, and so like a few boats go down, it's all right. A few flip and get swept down, but they're fine. And then one boat carrying an older woman flips over, and she gets pushed up against the boulder, and then the boat actually crushes her up against the boulder. And she's like, "Ah!" she's freaking out, and I'm like, "Oh, this is not a good situation." I hear the guy calling like, "Hey, Keegan, we need some help." I'm like, "Oh no!" And so I'm like, "All right, everybody stay in the eddy. I'm gonna go down." And so I go down, and I see this situation. This guy's trying to pry the boat off her. It's not coming off. I'm like, "Oh God." Like, this is bad. And so I spend like a good 2 or 3 minutes just trying to get to the boulder itself, because I'm soloing this canoe, trying to work against the rapid and get to the boulder where I can actually not have my canoe get swept down a river and still get on top of it. And so finally managed to get into the eddy and get on top of this boulder. She's been stuck there for like 5 minutes. And, we get the canoe off of her finally and pull her up on there. She's like, "I'm okay." It's all good. She has a really good attitude about it, actually. We're like, "Oh, good. Well, I mean, that's good to know."
Right.
And so, we get everybody through that rapid. But that was actually the only trip that I've ever had to throw the rescue rope to. I had to throw the rescue rope that trip. That's a whole nother thing.
Right.
It was a rough one, man.
Mm-hmm.
All right, that exact rapid where she got pinned, actually a boat flipped over. They had the cooler in it with like half of our food.
Oh.
And they didn't tie it down.
Oh no.
And that's on us. We should have inspected every boat. But we told them to tie it down, and that got swept down river.
Oh no.
And yeah, however, 24 hours later we found it. Yes. After we camped and we spent the night there, we found it in a tree.
Really?
Down the river. Had everything in it still.
Oh my gosh.
We were fine. We're like, wow.
How lucky. That's amazing.
Yeah, we were pretty amazed because I thought for sure we were never seeing that cooler again.
Right.
And I was like, "Oh man, some poor turtle is choking on whatever is in there." Right. And I was like, "Oh geez, we're terrible people." We found it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we found it.
Gosh.
So, it was a good time.
Yeah, I think I had like a really rough experience on like my first like big canoeing trip with like a lot of people.
Yeah.
We had like compass and map, and so we're on the river trying to orienteer and everything. So it's like one of the first things we did too, orienteering, was like they just stuck us out on the river.
Nice.
And they were like, in their brains, this was the easier way to do it. They're like, you have like a river.
Yeah, it's a pretty distinguishing land feature.
Pretty distinguishing.
Yeah.
And you should be able to like see some things pretty easily,
right,
or whatever on the river. Well, they kept telling us not to look for things that like were man-made, like bridges or whatever else on the map, but to stick to like, ridges and all these other things. They were trying to tell us to look for peaks or whatever else, or different like other rivers and whatnot, or creeks. Well, the girl was like, "Well, there's definitely a bridge on this map. And I know that once we get to this bridge, then it's just like a couple, like, I don't know, it's like a mile away after the bridge. And then there's this like obvious, land signal or whatever it is. I don't remember what it was. But yeah, we're coming up under a bridge, and it got there way quicker than any of us expected.
Uh-oh.
And so everyone was skeptical as to if that was the bridge or not.
Right.
And then we started to see some other things, and I'm just like, I think that was the bridge. And I was like, I don't even remember if I said it out loud or not, but I just remember thinking to myself, that was probably the bridge. And we're going and going and going, and we don't see any bridge. Finally, one of the guides is like, what are you guys waiting on? Like, what are you looking for? And they're like, well, like, there was this bridge and everything. And he's like, why are you looking for a bridge? He's like, there should be other things you should be looking for. Well, they also spent so much time looking for a bridge, they didn't look at any other pieces of landscape on the map for any other things. And so, because there was supposed to be this hot spring off to the side that we were going to get to go to and everything.
You passed it?
And we passed it. And so we passed it by a mile. The place that we were supposed to go to. Passed it by a mile. And we had to stop the boats, turn around, and go upstream to get to our place, to get to our destination. Some of us were like, oh, surely they won't make all of us go upstream. Or like, maybe they'll just be like, oh, well, that sucks. All right, now you guys know for the future, like, you don't go past your places or we're going back. And they're like, no, we're going back. So there's like 10 of us or whatever, and we're all like getting in our canoes. And I was probably in the back. I was one of the back people. And this was the hardest experience I think I had on this trip, was trying to go upstream in this canoe. And we were doing all right because we were sticking to the sides and trying to hit eddies and everything else. But we got to a point where we were supposed to cross the river one way and then cross it again to get to like better eddies and whatnot. And for some reason I'm crossing and I just could not get over to where I needed to be. I kept getting into the water and the current was so strong it just was pushing us back. And the girl who I had with me, I don't remember what was going on. I think like her shoulder was bad, like something was going on with it, but it just wasn't working out that well. And I'm like trying to push through it, like using all my power I have. Because I was like, oh, strong Nick's gonna be able to do it, and strong Nick wasn't able to do it. Finally, somehow like another guy gets into our boat. Like we swap out. Like she gets into the other person's boat, and this dude gets into my boat. I get in front. He gets in back, and magically we just like. Whoop, whoop.
Very nice.
Swoop over to the other sides. And I'm just like, wow. Like, that's so embarrassing. I was like, I tried so hard. And it was this moment where I realized, like, I think it's one of those character building moments that we look for in the outdoors, where I started to realize, like, oh, I was trying to be so strong that I wasn't giving good instructions to the girl in the front of the boat. I wasn't, like, telling her good things to do. I was, like, disguising it as me being like generous and making her not have to do much, but it was really just me being like so consumed in myself that I thought I could get us across.
Gotcha.
And her be able to think, oh, Nick did it like all by himself, and she would brag about me or something. But then it turned out, no, actually, you made us wait around longer. Another guy had to get into our boat and swap out. Like we had to do this whole transition. And then he let us back, and it was just like, because I was so weak at that point that I was barely even like contributing.
Water is strong.
Yeah, so it was a nuts moment for me.
Man,
that was luckily at the beginning of the trip, and so it just humbled me the rest of the trip and whatnot.
Formative experiences kind of suck sometimes.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah, that's really cool though. That's actually really cool that you could take that and learn from it.
Yeah,
that's what we look for, right?
Right. Yeah. And then the other scary moment, I don't think it was actually as big of a deal as our guides made it out to be, or they were just telling us the truth, or they were trying to just scare us. But me and my like guy, like we were this first day canoeing, and we weren't supposed to go very far in the canoes, and they get us out and they're showing us, well, it was like 30 degrees out, maybe 40, and this one dude kept like flipping his canoe and everything. And he's kind of a bigger guy, but he kept flipping his canoe, and we were all like kind of laughing about it. And then we finally get on shore, and he and his partner are like so cold that they like get out the whole blanket thing, like everyone's huddling underneath it, trying to get them warm. And I get hypothermia, and our guides pull us aside, and they're just like, hey, you guys are spending way too long on this like bank trying to figure out where you're needing to go, and if we don't get them under by a fire soon, like they're not gonna do well. Like, or we're going to have to make camp right here. You know, so it's like, are we going forward? Do you guys know where you're going? Or, like, are we going to call it quits? Like, what's going on? Like, you guys need to figure something out. Or, like, they're going to get, like, really hurt. And then, so we're trying to figure it out. And they're like, have you checked on them at all? Like, you're, the leaders today. Have you even checked on the people under that blanket trying to get warm? Have you even tried to encourage them or let them know, like, what's going on? You know? Or, like, if they have any hope, or you just gonna let them sit there and be cold and like worry.
Wow.
And it was it was a crazy moment of just realizing like, oh, you need to take other people into consideration for sure. Don't just try and like be the winner. Don't just try and do all these things. It's like figure out where you're going.
You had a great mentor guide
they were really, by the end of that trip, I was like, I'm really sad I don't like have contact with him right now, because he was a really formative person.
Yeah.
Like that whole group of leaders were like the most formative. They're the people who made me want to do what I'm doing.
Right.
You know, like they're the people I look to. I like email them every once in a while as an organization and ask them for advice.
Yeah.
And whatnot, because yeah, they are very solid people.
That's cool,
yeah.
man.
So yeah, they knew how to be like hard on you, but also like they also gave us some grace, because I'm pretty sure they actually gave us a pointer on like where we needed to go, because we were like, oh, I think this is it, and they're like, I don't think so. They're like, I think it might be, this is what you're looking at. It might be there. Right. And so we're like, oh. So I think they gave us some grace while also tearing us down.
Well, you know, there's give and take, right?
Yeah, exactly.
You gotta throw some wins in there.
Yeah, you learn a lot from the water, I think.
I think so too. You know, I definitely think so too. And we've done a lot of stuff with the water. And you know, like you can have some hard formative experiences, but it's also just a lot of fun. Like last month, right here in town, we went down Jessamine Creek in inner tubes after it rained really hard and the creek was really high.
Yeah.
So we got like 10 inner tubes and went down it. And even my wife, Hannah, you know, she's pregnant. She went down it. Whatever.
That's awesome. No big deal. She's awesome.
Yeah, she did great. And, you know, it was like there was some fast-moving water there. You know, it was great. It was like it was a natural lazy river for most of it. So we just chilled out in the sun. And then every now and then it became like a pretty fast water slide. It was like an awesome time. We got in, you know, at a bridge and then ended at that little place where the creek runs over the road. You know what I'm talking about? That's where we got out. And it was like probably a 2 to 3 hour trip.
Wow.
All the way down through and through. It was so fun. It was so fun to just kind of chill out and, you know, be in community with everybody, but also not really say anything because we were all spread out.
Right.
But I still feel like I was having this mutual shared experience with everyone, and we kind of just meditated and flowed down the river. And then when it got fast, we all laughed and had fun. Like, it was a good time.
That is really cool.
Just a good time, yeah.
Jeez. Yeah, we kind of... I've had one of those kind of lazy river experiences at Yosemite, and that was really beautiful. Except it was like... It was... I can't remember if we were in like a raft or if we actually... I think it was like a canoe raft type thing or whatever. But yeah, just sometimes you want to do like the whitewater, having fun, going crazy, doing like wild things, moving fast in the water. And then other times, yeah, the river or creek or whatever it is can just be so relaxing just to meditate on.
Oh yeah, and like, that's really what it was, man. It was just being able to sit there, be out in nature, listen to the running water, because you know people ASMR that stuff on YouTube all the time,
right?
You know, and I was just there out in it, taking a nap, listening to the water pull me down river, and there's something about like your mind can wander free because you aren't in control, if that makes sense. Like the river is actually taking you someplace, so you're not in control, and the feeling of not being in control but yet relaxed lets you relax even more. I think. I don't know, there's something psychological that goes on there. There has to be, right? Yeah. No, I just feel super relaxed and calm. And Hannah did too. It was the first time that she finally didn't feel anxious, you know, being pregnant and everything. And it was in her first trimester, so she was feeling sick all the time. And finally wasn't sick and not feeling anxious and just letting the river do its thing and take her down. And that was good, you know. And we're in our second trimester now. She's at 19 weeks this week, which is pretty cool. I told you how I found out that she was pregnant, right?
I think so.
Did I? All right, I'm gonna tell the story anyway because I think it's fun. But this was before that I knew Hannah was pregnant, and also before she knew that she was pregnant, but she was. I woke up one morning and before she did, really early on a Saturday, and put my bathrobe on, and went downstairs and brewed myself a cup of coffee, and then went out onto the porch to enjoy the brisk morning air in my bathrobe with my coffee. And as I took a sip of coffee, I looked to my left and, you know, I just kind of inhaled. You know, like it's nice. And I looked to my left and there's a dad out on his porch in his bathrobe, and he had a cup of coffee, and he looks over and he's like, "Good morning, Keegan." I'm like, "Oh." I was like, "Good morning," you know, and I just sipped my coffee. I don't think anything of it. I'm like, "Good morning. What a great day." Nice to see you, Matt. And then I'm sipping my coffee and still enjoying the morning, and then I hear something on my right, and I look to my right, and my other neighbor comes out of his house. He's also a dad, with his bathrobe and his coffee. And he's like, "Good morning, Keegan." I'm like, "Good morning." And then I realized that there's a dad on my left doing what I'm doing, and there's a dad on my right doing what I'm doing. And, oh my God, I'm a dad. Right. Hannah's got to be pregnant. Sure enough, like the next week, we found out.
Jeez.
I know, man. That dad energy came on me.
Yeah, it really does.
It does. The dad energy.
I've been looking out for it too.
I know. Yeah, I know.
Because everyone like develops like the dad jokes after a while, or you develop like all these little things. But yeah, there's definitely like a defining moment one day where you're just like, oh my God.
My time has come.
Honey, you're pregnant.
Yeah. My time has come. Our time has come. Yeah. But yeah, that's just a side note. We had a great time though, and you know, she was very relaxed. I think that and she still likes taking baths. I don't know if there's something. I'm not a doctor, but apparently pregnant women really like being immersed in water, and you know, floating and being in the bath as long as it's not too hot. 'Cause you're not supposed to get it too hot, you know. But it's very relaxing for them, I guess, because she has, you know, obviously it's hurting her lower back, so being in the water is nice, and getting a massage, it's nice. So yeah, it's good. Get in the water.
Man, there is something about water that can just feel so like cleansing and healing.
Yeah, it's traditionally like associated with that stuff, baptism and the washing of things and the dipping in the river 7 times to cure your leprosy.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? Yeah.
God killing a bunch of people in the flood.
Yeah, you know, cleansing, the cleansing genocide.
Cleansicide.
Yes.
It's not genocide, Noah. It's cleansicide.
Well, that's the thing is, like, we love water. We need it to survive. You know, we have to drink it all the time. Except for all you middle school kids that drink only Diet Coke every day. You weirdo. Drink water. Didn't I talk about this in, like, every episode? Every episode it comes back to this. And I'm like, God, drink more water.
Yeah, really.
You know?
Especially being out on the water.
Yeah.
Like, you actually need more water being in the water.
You do. I had to remind that to a group that we took 2 weeks ago. It was 2 weeks. Or was it last week? No, it was 2 weeks. Last 2 Fridays back. I took this group of dude bros out on the river. There's like 20 of them. And they are all between like the ages 22 and 28. And they work for like some sort of security home installation company. And they all wanted to go have a canoe trip. I was like, all right. And they were the dudiest bunch of dudes I ever met. And so they were all like super excited to be out in the river, but they like, you could tell that they had never been like outside before. And so like I get to the office and nobody's ready. When I get there, I'm like, what's happening? You know, why is no one ready? And so I sent some staff to go like get them. Apparently some of them were still asleep. It's like 10 in the morning. Like, come on, man.
You're right.
And so, you know, they get them. And, you know, I'm in the office, like, gathering stuff, and I have, like, the trailer all loaded up and ready to go, and I hear beep, and, you know, like, this weird buzzing sound, and I look out, and there's, like, no joke, dude, like, 6 of them. Like, 6 of them. That's not even a hyperbole. At least 6 come up on hoverboards. They just zoom up the dirt trail, the gravel trail on these hoverboards. I'm like, what is happening? they come on up.
It's like you woke up to an alternate universe.
Yeah, it was weird. I was like, what is happening? And they're like, oh, hey, what's up, man? And like, so we're ready to get on the river today, bro. And they like, give me the waivers and stuff. And I'm looking through their waivers and all this and looking at their allergies and all gluten-free, allergic to, I don't know, oxygen kind of guys.
Right.
I'm like, all right, you know, I'm trying not to judge them. Like, you know, these are probably going to be great guys, right? And they were great guys. I'm going to be honest. They went to the outdoors with a sense of wonder and excitement that I haven't seen since children. And I've taken children outside, which is great, you know. And so they were super enjoying being outdoors and having fun with that. However, I feel like their enjoyment of it was a little inhibited by the fact that they took a selfie every minute that they were out on the water. And I told them, like, don't bring your phones out here because they could get wet. We're surrounded by wet stuff. We're surrounded by wet stuff. It's water, guys. But they brought them. And so they were just selfieing and videotaping and doing everything. TikTok, I don't know. I think TikTok's a thing now. So they're just like TikToking the whole thing. And you know, I'm like, that didn't make me mad. I was like, okay, sure, you know, whatever. But I just thought it was weird that they would do that the whole time.
It's like going to a Jay-Z concert. Jay-Z jumps into the crowd right next to you, and instead of looking at him,
you pull out your phone.
You turn around and pull out your phone. So that way your phone, you can take a picture with him, and then he walks past you, and you don't even look at him. Yeah. You're just looking at your photo of what you just did with him.
There's something like...
It's so weird. It's like, did you watch the Super Bowl, Justin Timberlake, when he went into the audience?
Yeah, and everybody, that one kid, he didn't even look at him.
He was just trying to get a picture.
That kid was a meme for a while, right?
He was. And everyone's like, dude, he's right there.
JT is right there. There's like something like Black Mirror-y about that, no honesty, when I think about it. It's like...
Well, you know, like concerts, when you look at concert videos, there used to be a festival video where you'd see the band up on stage at a festival and everyone's holding up lighters or waving things in the air.
Yeah.
Like balloons or stringers, flags, whatever. Now, every time you watch a video of a festival, there's thousands of phones in the air.
Yeah.
You know, it's so weird. And you see the people look at the phone to see the person.
Yeah.
It's so odd. Like, I'll do it. Like, I do it. Like, I take pictures or quick videos maybe. But some people just stand there the entire time.
Yeah.
It's so weird.
You know, I don't want to say that there's anything inherently bad about that, but there probably is something to be said about experiencing something like firsthand or secondhand.
Right.
You know, like firsthand, I'm seeing it with my eyes, I'm in the moment. You know, I'm loving what I'm in, you know, and I can fully experience it as opposed to I'm videotaping it. Right. Like, because now my experience of it, for me, and it's probably not for everybody, but for me, if I'm videotaping an experience, my experience is almost lessened because now I'm having to concentrate on the task of videotaping it as opposed to fully immersing myself in what's going on.
Exactly.
You know, and I know that some people aren't like that and they can just have the phone out, no problem. They can be fully immersed in what's going on. But for me, it's like, am I getting a good shot? You know, is the lighting good? You know, am I capturing this right? Like, I can't multitask like that. I either have to be focused on what's happening or what I'm doing, which, you know, so I just try not to. I just try to, and Hannah doesn't like that because she wants me to get more pictures of stuff that I do. You know, and she's like, "You should take more pictures of dates we go on and stuff like that." I'm like, "Well, I'm focused on you. I'm doing something. Exactly. I'm doing something." You know, but I understand where she's coming from because you know, one day we're gonna wish that we had more pictures of stuff that we did.
Yeah.
You know, I get
well,
it.
And there's like a difference between like having some pictures, having a few videos, and then having like an entire like event videotape
or your whole life
videotape.
Yeah,
it's just like when we went to go see Panic at the Disco, we were like 4 rows from the stage.
Yeah,
like we could see him, like he looked at me and smiled at me.
Cool. That's cool.
And it's just like, oh my god, like you're right there.
Yeah.
And I think Katie and I were like way more immersed in that experience than we have been at other concerts where we're like farther away and it's less like realizing that like, oh my gosh, like we're here.
Yeah.
You know. But there were moments where I knew, like, I don't want to look at him through my phone, and I would, like, have my phone to the side of me or something in, like, video while I'm, like, looking at him.
Yeah.
And then I could go back to the phone later and be like, oh, wow, like, that's cool.
There it is, yeah.
You know, but I was also have the image of me looking at him.
Yeah.
Or, like, a birthday party. It's like, yeah, I'm going to get the picture of my kid blowing the cake.
Totally.
Or the video of it.
Yeah.
Or something. Or I might have, like, Aunt Hilda, who, like, never comes here, videotape it because she doesn't care about the kid.
Yeah, and you know, like...
you know, she can videotape it while I watch it.
This might sound bad, but, like, you know, that experience of the kid's birthday party, it might be more important to you in hindsight than it is in the moment, even.
Yeah.
You know, because, like, you could enjoy and experience that moment, and yeah, it's great, but the actual emotional impact of it might be relived more intensely through a video later. Yeah. You know what I mean by that? You know, like, you take the video because you know that later on when you're older you're really going to want to look at that, you know. You want to look at it even more than when you're in the moment, you know.
Oh yeah, of course. That's why celebrities have people follow them around with cameras. They're like, I'm going to experience this life and you're going to experience my life while you film it, and then I'll get to experience my life later because you filmed it.
It's a crazy world, man.
It is a crazy world.
It's a crazy world.
So you see like Will Smith and he has people following him around with cameras, like filming it all. Yeah. So interesting. All that to say, enjoy the outdoors.
Enjoy the outdoors. Enjoy the outdoors.
Take some pictures. Take some videos.
Pictures. TikTok it.
Here's another thing about taking pictures in the outdoors or videos. Have the person you're taking the picture of look at the camera. Because when we were in Yosemite, I took a lot of like photogenic photos of Katie with her back turned because it looks cool and photogenic for like some stock image or whatever.
Sure.
You know, but years later, when you're looking at it, I'm gonna tell my kids, hey, there's your mom at Yosemite, and they're like, that's her head. Where's her face? You know,
but it doesn't look so good on the gram.
Right, exactly. It's like if you're gonna take photos of the back of their head, at least also get one with the front of their face.
All right,
you know,
take 2 photos.
Take at least 2.
Take 2 photos.
It's like when you take a serious photo and a funny photo for like your wedding or something.
Yeah.
Do that, like, for the outdoors, too. Like, take a fun, serious one. Take a great, like, enjoyable one, too.
Get the Instagram likes one. Right. And then get one for you.
Yeah.
And then get one for you. Okay, exactly. I like that. These guys brought a drone. These dude bros, they brought a drone, and it flew around the whole time that we were canoeing. I was freaking out that thing was going to fall in the river. But it didn't. That thing, like, it was advanced, man. He had it on this mode. Did you know they could do this where... It has, obviously has a video camera, you know. He can select himself on the video camera and it'll just follow him on autopilot. It has like an autopilot follow me mode. Yeah. So it scans him, and then wherever he walks, it just follows him. It hovers like 10 feet behind him and just follows him. It's crazy, man. Like that's
maybe that's what we need.
That is what we need. There we go. You don't need to hire a Will Smith guy.
You just need a drone.
You just need a drone. Yeah. But you know, it's the constant
nuts. Right,
for 24/7 might get, you know, not fun. But they loved it, man. And, you know, like, we got to this little waterfall, and they climbed up to the top of it, and, you know, this guy was commenting to me, he's like, you know, people don't understand this is right in their backyards, you know, and, like, there was a natural spring, and, you know, they were drinking from the spring water, and I was like, you know, you can drink from this, it's clean, and they were amazed that there was clean water out there. I was like, yeah, you know, not all water comes from the water purification plant. You know, you can drink from this clean spring water, and they were amazed by it, and they were drinking it, and they were like, wow, you know, it's like, this is so cool, you know, we need to be out here experiencing this. And they were, you know, so appreciative of what nature could give them. I was very, like, pleased with that group, you know, for all of the differences we might have had. Like, I was very pleased with how respectful they were of nature and how, like, amazed they were by it.
And those are really the people you want to get out there.
Yeah.
You know, the people who just don't have that experience. And that have that joy and that desire to experience stuff they haven't ever experienced. To see the awe and wonder.
Yeah, it was cool. It was cool. It was, and, you know, we got back and they got on the little hoverboards and zipped on back to wherever they were going.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was nice, man. It was cool. So, yeah, get out in the river. Enjoy the water.
Yeah. Enjoy it while it's still here.
We were talking about earlier, we said the symbolism of water. Yes. Talking about how it symbolizes purification and cleansing and all of that and relaxing. And, you know, if you look at, like, how humans have traditionally viewed water, like, water has this weird dual feeling that goes with it. Because on one hand, you feel serenity when you think of water. You think of the constant flow of it, the dripping sound, the ASMR relaxation, you know, all of that, the sound of falling rain. There's something very peaceful and serene and sublime about how water moves, you know, because it's soothing, too. The cool water, getting a cool drink of water is soothing. So, you know, you have these feelings, and then you also have the strength of it, the terrifyingness of it, because so many people are afraid of deep water. And, you know, deep water is inherently scary. And then you have crashing waves and the fury of it, you know. It's interesting because humans have this weird relationship with water where 90% of humans live near water, you know, on a coast or near a river, and we need it to survive, but at the same time we're terrified of it and we recognize its strength.
Right.
I don't know. I like that. It's weird.
Yeah, I do find that interesting. You have places like Miami or New Orleans that are, like, constantly worried about flooding.
Yeah.
You know, constantly worrying about getting hit by some hurricane or something and just, like, killing everybody, but they keep staying there. Like, we like to get out on our boat and, like, get out into the ocean or the water. But, yeah, like you said, you also recognize, like, oh, a storm could come through and just demolish us. Like, you watch that movie, like, The Perfect Storm.
Oh, yeah.
Or different things like that where you have these massive waves just crush boats that are humongous. You see surfers out there just, like, ripping it up.
Yeah.
Just, like, as if they have some kind of, like, edge on the wave or control of it. And then all of a sudden it, like, swallows them up and gets the best of them, you know, just when they think they've perfected it. You know, it's like, nope, like, I'm going to take you down.
Yeah, but even surfers, like, the terminology is. They just ride. They
right,
ride
exactly.
the wave. You know, they don't control it. They don't tame it. They just they ride it. They let it take them. Yeah. You know, it's like, because even in like the mastery over the element, you still acknowledge that you don't have mastery over it.
Yeah,
you know, you're riding it.
And I think that is true mastery. Yeah. Is realizing, oh yeah, I can't control this thing.
Yeah,
I'm like at its mercy.
Yeah,
you know, and I'm going to respect it. You know, and I think that is something so crucial about being out in nature, especially out on the water, is recognizing like you're at Mother Nature's mercy.
It's true.
And if you disrespect it, if you're not careful about it, it's going to like take you out. Like it doesn't really care.
It's very true. Yeah, nature is very indifferent. And, you know, we talked about it before, how a great appeal of being in the wilderness is the independence of it, is the knowing that you only have yourself to rely on out there. And I think that going along with that is what you just said, is understanding that you are at the mercy of nature. Because no matter how great an outdoorsman you are, you can minimize risk, but you can never fully get rid of it. Yeah. You know, something can always happen to you. But the risk itself is what makes it appealing.
Right.
Because you don't want the sterile, safe environment. That's not where we grow. We have to have an adventure. An adventure is inherently risky, you know? And so is the wilderness is inherently risky. That's very appealing.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Yep.
I agree.
Well, anything else that you want to talk about water and water sports?
Just drink it.
Just drink more of it.
Just drink more of it.
Aggressively campaign to drink more water.
I think I'll wrap it up by actually talking a little bit about our business.
Yeah.
Because I've been thinking a lot lately about just like, you know, like plastic in the water, different environmental concerns and whatnot going on that have always gone on. And it made me realize like, oh, Katie and I constantly talk about how we want to make sure like our business from day one is as like environmentally conscious as possible.
Right.
You know, like we want to make sure that we're doing things that care a lot about the earth, that care a lot about how we treat it, and even treating other people. You know, it's like one day when we start selling shirts, you know, for people who come like to our program and graduate from it or however it works. Like, I want them to leave with a shirt that's also, like, protecting of the environment.
Sure.
That also is protecting of, like, people's labor and whatnot. And it goes on to that whole idea that you talk about of being consistent in your beliefs and in your values. And I think something I would challenge everybody, you know, this is a time of year, August. People are going back to school. People are doing new things. It's just that time of year where everybody, like, gets back into the swing of some things. And starts like maybe it's almost like a New Year's in a way for the end of summer going into fall. It's a transition period. And some people are going to be trying to transition into a better way of life or maybe a worse way of life. I don't know. And I would just encourage everybody to try and figure out like how to be a little more consistent in your values, especially when it comes to protecting the earth. Because you definitely have to take it one step at a time. You can't just become full on like protecting the earth, you know, type person. You have to take it small steps. But I think that's something I would stress to people, is doing that. And to plug our business a little bit more, we have a Facebook and an Instagram.
That's right.
Yeah, we're going to be promoting a lot more about our, you know, our business and whatnot. We're in the swing of kicking things off.
Yeah, here in the next couple of weeks, we should be fully integrated with some schools in their curriculum, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, doing our small part to try and increase awareness about how important the wilderness is and how helpful it could be for a person's character and their growth.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, like Nick said, you know, like we talked about a few episodes back, it's small steps to do your part. It's just small changes. You don't have to completely change your lifestyle overnight. It's all baby steps.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Another thing for the podcast is if you guys are enjoying this podcast, all of our episodes are uploaded to YouTube. All of them. But other platforms cost money to keep all of our episodes up. So if you look at iTunes or Google Play or whatever else that you go to, you'll notice that there's only like 4 or 5 episodes up at a time because we can't afford to host all of them at the same time. If you want to help us with that, you can go to Patreon. We have a Patreon account that you can get through our Facebook, that you can get through our Instagram by going to our website. We'll try and put up a link on here, and you guys can do that. We also have merch on Amazon and Etsy, like t-shirts, different things like that you guys can buy, trying to make them as affordable as possible.
Yep.
But those are different ways that you can help us do that. We're content with having all of our stuff up on YouTube, especially because by the next episode we're going to have a video going.
Yeah.
We're going to be doing videos.
We want to do video.
So that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah. So, we're content with YouTube, but again, we want as much of our content out on the internet on as many platforms as possible, just so that we can, hopefully entertain more people and get our names out there. So it doesn't cost a whole lot for us to use those platforms and use their storage. So, we only are asking for a little bit, and any little bit helps. If you like the podcast, and just let us know. And also keep writing us in for things that you want us to speak on, to talk about, your comments, concerns, anything that you want to know, because we love getting feedback. And, obviously we've done a few episodes now based directly on the feedback we've gotten from people,
right,
and on suggestions that people have given us. So let us know what you think and what you want.
Yeah, Keegan, who would you say is our biggest fan so far?
Our biggest fan is for sure Hannah's mom.
Yeah. I'd say so.
It's for sure Hannah's mom.
She bought it. She bought some shirts.
Bought the shirts.
Yeah.
She's
repping.
She is repping the shirts. She listens to it all the time in the car. The car is a great place to listen to podcasts.
Exactly.
And wants us to take her on a trip at some point. So
perfect.
Yep.
All right, everybody. Thank you very much for tuning into the podcast, and we will see you next week.
Adios. Stay saucy. That's a wrap.
That's a wrap.